Hello and welcome to Fiber Trek. My name is Sarah. Welcome. You are most welcome to my studio space here in the North Woods of Maine. I am looking forward to sharing with you on this edition some non-knitting creative endeavors. This includes some garment sewing and experimentation with new watercolor paints, as well as catching up on some of my quilting projects. Rob and I venture up to camp. I will share with you some of that excitement. If you are a patron of this podcast, a deep, heartfelt thank you for your financial contribution. I look forward to hearing from all of you that choose to leave comments or insight. I'm so glad you're here. Let's catch up.
If I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper, would it make any difference? Would it change for the better? If I wrote you a poem, if I posted a letter?
I've really been enjoying my watercolor paints, and I was inspired by Natasha Newton of Behind the Studio Door to do some swatching using rocks as the shape, which would also provide a canvas for later decoration and give you an opportunity to fool around with different media on top of the watercolor. The palette that you see was inspired by Laura Horn of LauraHornArt on YouTube. She was going through specific colors that she likes to have on hand and the mood that they create, and it very much appealed to me. And so I decided, as I said, to swatch these out and look at the opacity you can achieve, the transparency, as well as the granulation, which I have really come to love. On top of these particular pieces, I was able to use gouache and gel pens, and again, it became very meditative to create these rock shapes and then do designs on top of them. I would highly recommend you check out both of these channels if you have interest in this type of artwork. This particular sample is made up of Daniel Smith watercolors, and I will link to Laura Horn's channel where she details this particular palette. And I am painting on Saunders Waterford St. Cuthbert's Mill paper, which is 300 GSM, 140 pound.
If you are not the one for me, then tell me now what I could do. Tell me you're the one for me now. I pray that you believe it too. That you're the only one for me, and I'm the only one for you.
So on this edition, as you will see or have seen, there has not been a lot of knitting. In fact, I have spent a lot more of my time investing in sewing, both quilts and garments. And also being an auntie. My nieces and nephew came up for a week and I was very much involved with playtime with them. So I'm hoping that the knitting will have a more expansion as I travel or as I settle into the fall and my work schedule. But right now I just decided to go crazy and take advantage of the fact that I am in one space and can haul everything out and hoe through everything and get lost in a project without feeling like I'm gonna have to leave it, come back, leave it, come back. So that being said, what did I make? I made the Remy top by Sew House 7. I've been perusing the Voray site ever since I purchased a dress from them for a wedding. And I love the aesthetic and the fabrics and the colors. And I knew that I had those pieces in my stash and I wanted to recreate some working staple pieces for me. And so I found this pattern, and I think what really attracted me was the neckline and the raglan shaping and these gathered sleeves. I just wanted a little bit of a drama piece that was comfortable and would showcase some drape and some of my bracelets that I had purchased. So anyway, when I found this, it kind of started to lead me down or back to a rabbit hole on Pinterest where I have all my wardrobe pieces put together. And as I did that, I realized that I do have an interest and an impetus to make myself some new pieces. And I went back to Sew Liberated pieces that I wanted to make, and I found some new pieces. I started to think about how to hack this piece into something more like a dress. And so as I did that, that's our water system. As I did that, my mind began to work and gears began to shift, and I wasn't feeling as resistant as I had in the past to putting together garments. I think I moved away from it because I don't go anywhere. I go to the grocery store and I go to work. So perhaps the travel has kind of helped that surface a little bit because I'm out and about, I'm doing videos. I also wasn't achieving the goals that I wanted to achieve. When I would finish a piece, I'd spend a bunch of money on linen and then it wouldn't really turn out and I couldn't hack it. And I'm not, as you may know or not know, I'm not like super precise reading directions all the time. Like, oh, I want this to fit this way. How do I do that? How do I adjust the arm? I don't want to do that. So I think that kind of moved me away. But finding some of these fabrics and pairing it with some basics was a really good move to push me along and kind of reintroduce me to this pastime and this skill set. So that being said, this particular piece, I want it to be a bit longer. I cut a size 14. I don't know if I said that, but I think next time I would like to cut a 12. I made a second one in a 14 and I did some hacks where I pulled together some different lengths and shaping in the waist that would mimic more of the Anne Carolyn smock and my tunic that I had kind of hacked from Sonia Phillips' dress number 2 or shirt number 2. And so it worked, but it didn't work. It needs a little bit of tweaking. I am going to be doing that when I come back from trips in the fall and in those types of things. So yeah, so stay tuned. I am looking forward to wearing this out and about. And I'm glad to kind of expanded my wardrobe a little bit. And with color, the other piece that I made is a deep kind of jewelly bluey green. And yeah, so I'm happy to finally use some buttons. Oh my God, to use buttons. And on that note, in this whole inspiratory garment sewing space, even though I have lots of beautiful fabrics, which I am happy and going to be working with, I did pick up a few more when I was ordering some fabric for Cameron's quilt, which when I was cutting it, had messed up. And so I had to order a couple more pieces. So I found these this is the King's Fancy in Fort Collins. I picked up this Nara homespun from Seven Berry. These are all 3-yard cuts. And I picked up, this is a double gauze from Athena. I can't remember the full name, but this was on sale. So I picked up the white. I don't know why I got white, but I was just so attracted to it, and I was so hot when I was making these decisions. I was like, yeah, white double gauze. Oh, it'd be great. Full like house dress. But, and then I got the charcoaly navy. So I'm looking forward to pulling these fabrics into kind of my workaday uniform and what they could become in the fall. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I am excited to kind of pull together some other patterns, look at my old patterns, and just kind of, take stock of what I could add to expand my wardrobe and just spice it up a little bit for the fall.
Where is the line between dreaming and feeling blue? It's 4 o'clock in the evening. I haven't left my room, but the truth is, if I'm honest, I feel stuck here in the middle. Am I one of those crazy people? Should I stay here or should I let go? Pull the sheets over my head, hoping change is gonna find me. You don't have to remind me I'm doing nothing at all. I'm ruminating on a blank wall, but I feel stuck here in the middle. Am I one of those crazy people? Should I stay here or should I let go?
The quilting has exploded this summer. I'm really happy with a lot of the progress that I've made. I finished the Star Pop quilt for my niece, and I have cut the fabrics for my nephew's version out of this fabric, which is called Gone Fishing. And it's just a series of different fishing prints. So, well, most of this is all cut. I did mess up a little bit. I think I may have mentioned that. I did mess up a little bit and I had to order a couple pieces. But that's all cut, and it feels good to kind of get some projects established so that they can just have a bit of flow about them, where you can sit and come back and sit and come back instead of tearing out everything and putting it back together, and so that you can just turn on your audiobook and go. And so it feels good to have had those pieces finished and wrapped before I start my commuting schedule in the fall. And I have quite a few quilts that can go to the long armor, so I'm glad to move them out and get those backings done and make room for more storage space and for other elements and other art pieces. But the real star, no pun intended, of this particular episode is the fact that I finished my Stars Upon Stars quilt block. Now, I've been thinking about attempting and cursing this particular quilt block for about 3 years, and I finally finished a whole block. I was reinvigorated to try this again when Edita Sitar of Laundry Basket Quilts, and the designer of this quilt, had a quilt along this past spring. And you may remember I did talk about it. And I messed up. It did not go well. I had ordered the templates that they had published so that you could create a little bit more precision. And I was still struggling. Many of you mentioned giving hand piecing a try, and that's what I did. I had kind of that wheel turning in the back of my head, and I really appreciate the affirmation and suggestions that you, with more quilting wisdom than I, were able to pass along to me and have it work out. So I hand pieced the stars, and they are very small pieces. I think the squares are 1.5. They start at 1.5 inch. These particular ones. The overall star, I don't know, is that 3 inches? Finishes at 3. So anyway, I was having a lot of trouble managing my sewing machine and tensioning, and how it would pull fabrics in, and I would pull fabrics and it would get pulled out of shape. And you can even still tell on this particular piece that even with careful piecing, I had and still do have trouble with tensioning my yarns. Tensioning my fabrics and managing their overall kind of bias. And so I'm very happy with what I've done, and I'm very happy that I hand pieced. I thought it was easier. I really enjoyed it. I drew the 1/4 inch or scant 1/4 inch marks right onto the fabric using the templates from the pack, and hand pieced with cotton thread. I looked at tutorials by Yoko Sahito, who is a Japanese quilt designer and does a lot of hand piecing, and some other quilt tutorials that were kind of featuring Jen Kingwell, which I guess people do hand piecing for. So I found that really helpful. The Lone Star pieces I did do on my machine, and these are not perfect. My points don't necessarily match up. I was able to achieve an overall dimension because I used the templates to cut and not square off, but finish these particular stars. And I had a lot of trouble, and I still do have a lot of trouble understanding what my machine is doing. How am I pressing? I do a scant 1/4 inch. I test it out, but for some reason I don't have the right intuitive precision to recreate what's in the pattern exactly. So even with careful pressing, I don't use steam, etc., I'm still coming out, things are still stretched, and I'm not achieving the actual finished block as it should be. So one of the things I decided to do was starch, and I don't want to heavy starch everything, and so I bought some craft starch as suggested by a Missouri Star Quilt Company tutorial, and I starched the next set of fabrics that I'm working on, and I followed a tutorial for their Lone Star wall hanging on their channel. So I'm going to see if that can help make a difference in me and my manipulation of the fabric. So I have, as you saw, cut out my next set of Lone Star pieces. Here is the first set of diamond wedges, and I draw the 1/4 inch on, I match up the crosses, and I'm still not able to, and go slow through my machine. I'm still not able to manage exactness. So anyway, according to Edita, if you can make one, you can make 100. I don't know if I'll get to that. I might just get 4 and do some sashing. In the meantime, I'm just really enjoying the look of this quilt. I love this quilt. I don't know what it is about it. I love this block. Maybe it was something that I had in a former life, but for some reason I'm very drawn to this, and I want to continue to make it. And having had one success, I am feeling motivated to go on. So like the other quilts, this one is all cut and ready to sit and just sew or chain piece elements, and everything for the stars is cut, so I can just take that with me and do some hand stitching. So I'm looking forward to this next block. I really love as most quilters do, putting the fabrics together, you know, that whole design piece, working with the fabrics, you know, etc. So that's really attractive. I don't always necessarily enjoy the piecing elements, especially for something like this, because I do lack some skill, but I am here to continue learning and see if I can change things up and get better results with each bit of each attempt. So that being said, I'm going to put together another set of strips. I will add this. One thing that I've also done, so I've added the starch, the hand piecing, and on these strip sets, instead of doing one long strip as it's instructed, I cut the strips in half. I do shorter lengths and cut off shorter lengths. So instead of doing 5 strip sets, I'm doing 10 and getting, I think, 4 off of each. So I get the 8, but I'm not doing it from one strip set. And I've been able to just, again, manage my edges so things are staying straighter and not getting off kilter when I go to cut. So that is the Stars Upon Stars by Edita Sitar. I'm using a variety of fabrics, but the 2 major designers are Laundry Basket Quilts and Kim Deal. That's kind of what I'm pulling from my fat eighths and fat quarters. And I just love them. I love getting them out, as you saw. So I'm gonna leave you on that note. Hopefully it's not getting too dark. Many fond wishes. Can you see me? Many fond wishes. Blessings. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.